All right. Hello, everybody. This is Irina Strunina, and this is our podcast, Diabetically Speaking with Smart Move 360. This is the podcast that we have every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern, and we meet here with people healthcare professionals who help those who were recently diagnosed or a while ago diagnosed or know somebody who was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And our guests are sharing with us different pieces of information, their expertise, their ideas, suggestions, recommendations that people who have this diagnosis can start using and or start investigating or can start a dialogue with their healthcare with their PCP, their primary care providers who may help them to adapt or adjust their treatment. So, and one more thing that I wanted to say that every last Thursday of the month, I am inviting diabetic warriors, people who live with diabetes and share their ideas from the inside. They share their wins, their losses, their aha moments, all the stories that they can share. I am inviting them to share. But today is not the last Thursday. Today is the in middle of the month, and my very special guest is Dawn Galagan-Rodriguez. It's a long name right here, but the we met with her not long time ago, and she is a wonderful person who can really help. And I was so excited to know that she can be a part of our podcast, can be my guest, and found time to meet with me today in this busy season. So, Dawn, welcome to the podcast. I'm happy that you are here. Please tell us a little bit about yourself before we start our conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me, Irina. So as she said, my name is Dawn Galagan-Rodriguez. It is long and cumbersome. But I am here as a registered nurse in a past life. I'm still a registered nurse, but I no longer work in a hospital setting. And that's kind of some of the important part of my story. I am also a former nursing instructor, so I have a master's in nursing education, and I'm also board certified as a nurse coach. And my path to what I do now is that I worked, as a staff nurse, as a young, 20 something nurse at the bedside, and had some of the best years of my career helping people in their worst moments, right? I started in transplant nursing and I moved along to general medical surgical nursing and orthopedics, cardiovascular, you name it. We had the opportunity to shift around our roles so much in the hospital. Um, as I progressed through my career, I became less enchanted with the day-to-day and more troubled with the part that I played and the lack of the part that I could play in truly helping people. And some of the worst, I don't want to say memories, worst moments that I think really apply to what we're talking about today is I actually had so many experiences of people leaving a hospital setting, being a newly diagnosed diabetic, um, kind of incidentally. They might not have even been in the hospital for that reason. And then, tests were done. Oh, you happen to be diabetic. And then they get the insulin ordered, they get the needles ordered, the lancets, the blood sugar meter ordered. I'll go pick that up at your pharmacy and go see your primary care provider. And, earlier in my career, those were the things I was told to do. And as I matured as a nurse, I realized what an overwhelming situation this was to put someone in, and how lost and scared these people must be. And when I talk to people who even now already been diagnosed for a while and feeling lost, how lost they feel sometimes, how there's so many different kinds of advice that you can find out there in the in the web in the
Google
internet,
Universe.
yeah, in the universe, how truly we did not serve patients that way. And so it came a time in my life when I actually moved and I moved across the country. I decided, okay, I'm going to go out and do this separately. And I became a nurse coach. And I do have my own small coaching business. And I'm really trying to niche in with people with diabetes and really, really try to get help to those people, the help and the time, the listening that they need, because the what I experienced and what people experience in the hospital was pretty shocking. And there's probably some listeners who are nodding their heads.
Absolutely. I can absolutely confirm everything you're saying. We have in our Facebook group Diabetes 101 for Beginners. Every day we read the posts from people who were recently diagnosed during their regular checkup visit. Maybe because they had some emergency visit in the hospital, or maybe they went to specialist with specific issue that they might have, maybe with their eyes, maybe with their feet, maybe with their skin, anything. And all of a sudden they learn that this is the diabetes that was the root cause for the challenges, for the problems that they have.
Hmm.
And so often people experience exactly what you described.
Yeah.
You have diabetes. This is your prescription. Let's schedule checkup in 3 months. Follow up in 3 months. This is it. And this is what our Facebook group is trying to help people with, to
Yeah.
learn more about their diagnosis, what it is, what does it mean, what does lingo mean, what is A1C. I don't understand. What is good blood sugar? What is bad blood sugar? How do I use that needle that was given to me? Nobody showed me how to use it. So
Hmm.
this is so important. So many people can relate to this.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the job that you do. And I'm really happy that you are here with us today to talk about this.
Thank you.
Thank you. So it's the month of December, and I wanted today to talk with you about really specific the of this time of the year. In many places and pretty much around the globe, people celebrate during this period of time all bunch of different holidays.
Yeah.
These are maybe the corporate parties celebrating the end of the year. There may be some religious holidays. There may be some um, other gatherings when people get together. They didn't have time to meet during the entire year. And finally, December, let's do it. It's the end of the year. People who get together to plan for the next year or wrap up this year that is coming to the end. So, a lot of gatherings.
Yes.
And it's always accompanied with some food consumption. And I hear it so often when people are saying, people in our group are saying, I hate this because I have to go to this place where a lot of my friends, colleagues, relatives get together, and I have to break for them this news that I'm diabetic and I cannot have this pie or I cannot have this mac and cheese or this is stressful
Yeah.
and people stressing out before they go there and then
Mhm.
they're being upset and sad or don't even go to those gatherings that's supposed to bring joy and happiness. So
Absolutely.
do you have any, well, what do you think about this? How people need to, can, not need, but can help themselves to do not be that overwhelmed?
It's a great question. It's something I talk to people about all the time right now.
Hmm.
One of the things with regard to the season in general, I I like to emphasize that we take this season one day at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And that means, sometimes we might be at a different time of year, we might be thinking, okay, I have a goal for 3 months, I'm going to lose 10 pounds, or I'm going to get my A1C down in a certain amount of time, and you have a long-term goal. I encourage people during this time of year to really kind of let go of that and think about each day individually.
Mm-hmm.
Because during this time, there are so many events, like you just
Yeah.
said, right? It could be once a week, or
Could
more,
be three events
depending,
in one day.
right? And depending on if you're a professional, if you have kids that are going, you're getting invited to all kinds of different parties with your families and your friends. And so it's really important to plan. First of all, planning is key, no matter for everybody with and without diabetes, in order to eat healthy, but always planning food throughout the year is one of my huge emphasis.
Mm-hmm.
But for this period of time, I say day by day. So if today is December 12th,
Okay.
today I do not have a party planned. And so I say to myself when I wake up, this is my day to be on point,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not a season to just throw all caution to the wind and say,
Yes.
oh, you know what? I have that leftover pie that I brought home from work yesterday for my kids. So now I'm going to eat it because it happens to be there.
Uh-huh.
We want to kind of lock down our routines as much as we can on normal days. Now, come Friday or Saturday, I might have a party, and that's when we plan ahead again. You have a plan in place before you get to that party or in preparation for the party.
Yes.
So, um, you know, some of the general suggestions I always go to is, definitely offering to bring something, or usually, we may be requested to bring something to these parties, and we bring one or even more items that we know we can eat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then when we get there, we're eating those items, and then we're also navigating to the fruits and vegetables, okay? And
Yes.
the higher protein items. I know it's hard. I know it's hard to avoid, the biggest table there might be a dessert table at these functions.
Mm-hmm.
But that is another thing you could do is find a dessert type food that you could bring that you know you could enjoy along with other diabetic people.
Yes.
So, planning and bringing your own things is really, really important. Becoming educated on what kinds of things you can eat on one of these buffet tables
Mm-hmm.
and even beverages.
Yes.
So, knowing some of the lower sugar things that you could have and perhaps bringing your own.
Yeah. Definitely, definitely. I do know that, say, some of my friends who have some health challenges, they do bring their own drinks. They decorate them like they look the same like somebody else. Say some bubbly drink. It could be sparkling water with a little bit of lemon juice or something like this, or even a
Yeah,
splash of apple juice. And they walk around, they look normal. They don't look like they're
yeah,
going around with those foam glass of water, but they have this bubbly and they are feeling totally included. Don't
absolutely.
look
It's a
different.
wonderful idea.
Yeah.
Bring a little bit of slice of lemon or something, put it in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Club soda is a great option. Any of the bubbly waters that you can just grab in cans, pour it into a glass,
Yes.
and throw a splash of something in there. And you
Yeah.
can be a
Couple
part of the
couple pieces
party.
of ice, and it's serves as a perfect party drink for somebody who tries to minimize the damage, basically.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
Okay.
so, my point about getting through the season, this season is long. A lot of what I consider it starting is at Halloween.
Yes.
So because it's before Thanksgiving, but a lot of times folks with kids, or even if you don't have kids and you buy a bunch of candy for trick-or-treaters, this is a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it's a huge challenge for diabetics, and it's even a challenge for everybody else because they might not even have the restraint that a diabetic person has in the back of their mind all the time. So they go willy-nilly starting at Halloween all the way through the new year. And
Yes.
if you think about that, it's almost 3 months
Mm-hmm.
of complete off the rails, right? And this really contributes to a decline in health, a move towards insulin resistance, a move towards diabetes if you're not already diabetic, worsening of diabetes. And so during the season, I always say, day by day, when you're at work, you're trying to stay on point. When you're at home, you're trying to stay on point. When you're having normal days, you're on point. And then during the festivities, you have a slightly shifted mindset around it and a lot of planning.
Yes, definitely. Yes, I've heard those different ideas that people bring, and absolutely bringing food that you know that you can eat, contribute to potluck, and put it out there because you never know. Maybe there will be somebody else with the same issue who is looking for something of
Mhm.
this style cooking or style prepping, and you may find someone else that you didn't know that they have diabetes, that they prefer
Mhm.
that, and you could find the accountability partner right there at the party before you know it, right?
That's a very good point. And I would argue that there are a lot of people, this is a struggle, internal struggle, right? Being at a party and thinking you're the only one that can't eat
Yes,
this way. There are people everywhere
absolutely.
like you, everywhere that are not talking about it, and they're looking for that food too.
Hmm.
And having it there is a benefit to everyone, whether you are diabetic or not. I am not diabetic, but I would be looking for those foods too on a party table. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and so the other thing you can do, so many of the listeners might be using a CGM, or they know from other testing what foods do trigger them,
Hmm.
because we know that everybody's different. One food might really spike one person's blood sugar, whereas the same food wouldn't do that in another person.
Yes.
When you know what your triggers are, by all means, pick those foods to bring,
Hmm.
and you can load up on them and just have at it, and know that you're eating okay and you're still at the party.
Exactly. Well, if we're talking to a regular person who are just trying to be normal and follow the regular rules to
Mhm.
putting together your meals, the proteins that there is always something protein on a table. It could be
Yeah,
some uh, turkey, chicken, fish, pot roast, something like that is very important to have for us, for
hmm,
everyone, not just people with diabetes, but especially for people with diabetes. It will fill you up, it will keep you on a healthier side, right? We can do this. We could put some veggies there on the plate, right?
absolutely.
Check out if there are some cheeses, olives, nuts, whatever,
Mhm.
put them on your plate, and maybe some berries if you are lucky, then some berries, and you have the full colorful plate. You could walk around, you could enjoy, and you will not be missing. Yes, sweet potato, what it is, this thing. I don't
Yeah,
casserole. I don't
yeah,
I don't like sweet potato casserole. It's way too sweet for me.
yeah.
You may have a teaspoon of it if this is your thing. You may have a tablespoon
Hmm.
of mac and cheese, but not the full bowl, and just this is the way I look at it.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. It's great advice. Um, that would be part of your planning too, thinking
Yes.
ahead as to what are you going to do when you get there. and you may stay away from the food for a little bit, and then everybody's starting to meander towards the food and everybody's grabbing plates. And at that moment, you can think to yourself, I need to build my plate
Mm-hmm.
and do exactly what you said, Irina, really overloading the protein and vegetables and, um, filling that plate up and then getting away from the table, right?
Yes.
And sort of grazing on your plate so that um it you have what you need to enjoy the party, visit with your friends and family, and then also having that drink that you can kind of nurse and sip, and it 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 can be it can become normal for you. And really, the biggest challenge, as long as you know what foods you need to be eating, and even following your CGM if you're using one, um, as long as you're staying away from that dessert table, which
Yes,
I know can be hard, you are conquering your day right there. And to your point, maybe you could have one tiny little morsel from the dessert table or
exactly.
something that has more fat and protein in it, like a peanut butter item,
Yes,
and just say that's my treat.
dark chocolate.
Yes, dark chocolate, absolutely.
Well, I think that one of the very important things that we kind of tend to forget, we're focusing on food, 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 but the whole point of those gatherings are not to stuff yourself, is to see, to visit family with those friends of ours, with those
Exactly.
relatives of ours who we don't have time to meet with during the year for different reasons. We all have lives, but at the same time, we all planning like, okay, we meet on those occasions every year. So let's take the advantage of those meetings and
Yes.
use this time to uh, basically exchange the information, share the story, learn something what happened in their lives, share something what happened, and better to talk about good things that happen. Who you saw, what news you heard, what concert you visit, what book you read, what movie you saw, where are your kids right now? Are they staying in town or they traveling? Uh, all this information is needs to be exchanged. Don't hold it to yourself because then people say, how come we were talking about different, health issues and didn't talk about the important stuff. Important stuff is our lives,
Absolutely.
like social creatures, not what sour cream you prefer to eat.
I love that thought. It's really so true. We don't want to, we can often think of conversations we probably got sucked into in the past, and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, all they talked about was something going on with their health or their parents' health, or, and of course we need to talk about those things, but if we can separate ourselves from that thought process, and it's like a vicious cycle inside of our own head, worrying about food, worrying about our health. When we can separate ourselves from that, getting out of our head into the moment of visiting
Hmm.
and the festivities, the holiday, and whatever you are celebrating, and then just incorporating what we talked about with choosing your food and getting away from the table and sinking into those conversations that don't have to revolve around our misery that we might feel inside with regard to food, because it doesn't have to be that way.
Yes, definitely. And this is something that I've heard those suggestions often. Um, you will go to the place where we maybe not we are not bringing anything. They told us just show up. And you know that those people usually put together something that very little you can consume, eat something ahead of time, right? Prepare your
Hmm.
body for this visit, and then still find those nuts, or if you don't have allergies, still find those pieces of cheese or olives that you could nibble on, and still be kind of like, yes, I have something on my plate, and I contribute to conversation, and all this
Hmm.
could be useful ideas.
Absolutely. And again, that really goes back to what I
Planning,
really emphasize with all my clients is the planning
planning.
portion, right? So
Mhm.
we're planning ahead. Oh, I don't know what they're going to have at this place to eat. So, like you said, eating ahead of time. And if you're newly diagnosed, this idea of planning and thinking ahead might sound very overwhelming and like tiring, right?
Mhm. Every
Like, do
day,
I
yes.
really need to be thinking about this all the time? And the reality is, in the short term, yes. You've got a new diagnosis. This is top of mind now. If we want to improve what's going on inside your body metabolically, we've got to change that profile of what you're eating, right? And we also haven't even talked about exercise, but we need to eat so much better with the things we were talking about, the high protein, some healthy fats, and our veggies and fruits and nuts and fiber. But over time, this becomes your new normal. And
Yes,
the planning part of this is becomes natural. And it sounds impossible at first, but it will become normal. And actually you will start to feel better and you'll become healthier because of it. And you'll think, okay, I was supposed to do this. This was meant to be.
absolutely. And the fun part is that with the consistency, you don't even notice that push
Yeah.
that you actually made. You just stay consistent with, improving 1% over the previous day. If
Yes.
you try to do 1% better today than
Yeah.
yesterday, right?
Yes.
360 days, 365 days in a year. In a year, you will be a very different person. You will be a very different
Absolutely.
person.
Absolutely.
Well, Dawn, I know we can talk about these topics much longer, but we have limitations with time. It's a 30
Absolutely.
minutes podcast. So I would like to ask you how people can connect with you. If somebody would like to stay in touch with you, what will be the better way to reach out to you?
So, I have my business email and my Instagram account up at the moment.
Okay.
My Instagram, and I'm sure you'll have these links available.
Yes.
It's Dawn_Rodriguez is where I'm active right now, and my email is dgalagan@newvitalhealth.com. And New Vital Health is my small health coaching business that I own and operate.
Okay. Do you have a website?
Yes, newvitalhealth.com. Hmm.
Perfect. So after the podcast will be in a group, if you, well, yeah, you said the Facebook is right now you have challenges with. So I will go and post in comment section those links so people could reach out to you. I also wanted to remind everyone that Dawn was a part of our Diabetic Healthcare Expo just recently, and the agenda for this expo is available in our Facebook group, so everybody could go to this agenda, find her information, and get the link from there. You also can reach out to me directly, and I will get you in touch with her. So there's plenty of ways. If you have this interest, we can do that. I wanted to remind everyone that on Tuesdays in our Facebook group, we have our Telenurse Tuesdays happening. Let me close my window so you could see it better. So we are posting this banner, and in the comment section under it, you could ask questions for our nurses. They will go at 7 p.m. Eastern and answer it. I wanted to remind you that every other Wednesday at 7 p.m. we have our support group meetings again in our Facebook group, Diabetes 101 for Beginners. We have posts about those meetings and those screaming posts that we're starting in 15 minutes. Hey, we just started, join us. These are Zoom meetings. They're outside of Facebook group, so you'll need to click the button and to join us. Of course, on Thursdays, we have our Diabetically Speaking Smart Move 360 podcast at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We also have the channel in YouTube and on my personal LinkedIn account if you would like to, if you are a professional person and prefer to communicate there. So, with that, I am going to wrap up today's podcast. Dawn, thank you so much for joining me today and being such a great guest and such a wealth of information for our people. Hopefully, anyone who listens to us will be sharing this information with their loved ones who need to learn something, learn the tricks, learn the ideas, see how they can implement it in their daily life or our party season time. Uh, this is
Absolutely.
all important information, and sharing is caring. So
Absolutely. And
that's
I,
the
I hope that this particular episode can help people, be excited about the holiday
yes.
and not dread it so much. I hope that for everybody.
Absolutely. That's the whole idea for this conversation we had today with you, and I'm so happy that you were open for it and full of ideas and recommendations so our people, our listeners can learn and use it. Well, that's it for today. We will see you next week, and till next time, share and like and do everything you can. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.